Hi, I'm Craig. It is day one of the retreat. I arrived just about an hour ago and hitting the ground running, so to speak. It is day 3 of my dry fast. And I'll say I'm going to get rid of all this stuff now because one of the things that I've read in some of the materials is if you do have vision issues, to try and go without glasses as much as possible. So on the trip so far, I've been doing that, and I don't know what some of the other folks are doing with their hair, but I feel like mine just looks horrendous. But some of the other testimonials that I've seen, look at the guys and say, "How does your hair look that good?" So, but mine looks pretty bad, but it's okay. It's all part of the dry fasting experience. And I came to dry fasting. My sister Vicky, who's also here at the retreat, she told me about the 20 questions about dry fasting with Doctor Filonov's thoughts and research in July of last year, so July of 2023. And I'll say, just for reference, today is October 8th of 2024. October 8th, 2024, October 10th, 2024. That's right, it's October 10th, 2024. I started my travels on October 8th of 2024. Anyway, I had some fasting experience before. In my religious tradition, we're encouraged to fast once a month for 24 hours. It wouldn't be what we would call here a strict dry fast, because it would just be abstaining from food and water, but certainly bathing wouldn't be, or brushing teeth, wouldn't, there would be no problem with that. But I've been doing that since I was 8 years old. Not necessarily every month, but most months. It was 2009, I believe, that, not for health reasons so much, but for spiritual reasons, I decided to fast for 3 days. But it was a similar kind of fast, and it was in that fast that I discovered how wonderful just splashing cold water on my face felt, and it relieved the dryness of my mouth. Anyway, fast forward several years, and just to explore, I discovered more about water fasting. And so this was in 2020, the summer of 2020. I went to a clinic in the US, True North, in Santa Rosa, California, and I did a week-long water fast. And that was an interesting but a good experience. And then fast forward to 2023, when I was introduced to dry fasting by my sister, as I said. Some of the things that I've dealt with, and I guess when I started the dry fasting, I didn't think necessarily so much to deal with some of these issues, but just to experience what it was like. But in the meantime, I found improvement on some of the things that I was dealing with. So right off the bat, so it was just about a year ago, early October, I believe, of 2023, I did a 3-day dry fast. No food, no water, no bathing. And this was in a drier climate. I come from northern Utah in the western US, and usually it's about 20% humidity. But thankfully it was cooler at that time. But after that, something that I've been experiencing for a while, which was just some upper abdominal pain that usually would go away. If I lay down, it would go away just after a couple of minutes. And I had had an ultrasound, I had done an endoscopy, and they couldn't find anything wrong. And the doctor who did the endoscopy came in while I was coming out of the anesthetic and said, it might be musculoskeletal. So that's the current theory I'm working with. However, it was after that 3-day dry fast that the sensation that I would feel, the pain, which wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like a numb burning pain, that it was like cut out almost 80%. And I still feel it from time to time, but it's not nearly where it was over a year ago. And that was completely, right at the time that I did that dry fast. So I chalk up the improvement there to dry fasting. I'm also dealing with some minor skin issues, and then, as I mentioned at the first, my eyesight. One of my last fasts, in the wake of that, I found that my eyesight does seem to be shifting. So my latest contact prescription, I don't see very well with it, and I'm wearing these glasses that I got a prescription for. The prescription's probably 4 or 5 years old or more. So there's that, and I've had some periodic heart arrhythmias, and I'm hoping that there can be some results from that. I'm also noticing just, in my skin, this wasn't what I'm thinking, but, brown spots on my skin, which have been there, are fading. But it's slow progress, and I've come to, be okay with that the changes take time. I'm encouraged by Doctor Filonov's assessment that about 25% of the healing happens during the dry fast, and then 75% after, in the weeks and months even. And I've heard I think Michelle Slater says even into the years, where the healing is still going on. So to prepare for this, as I mentioned, I did a 3-day dry fast about a year ago. And as a result of that, I started looking towards, okay, I want to do a longer fast. And even with all the prep that I've done, I don't feel like I've experienced an acidotic crisis. So I want to, hopefully experience that, to have some better healing, promote better health in me. Last December, and oftentimes that's a month where people can get sick, but for the first time in a couple of years, I did not get sick at all between, from the 1st of December up until Christmas. But a couple of days after Christmas, I got sick with flu-like symptoms. Maybe it was COVID, I have no idea. I didn't test. But I started feeling a lot of those, cough, sore throat, feverish symptoms. So I started dry fasting then. And this was in the cool of the winter. And I remember I went out thinking, okay, I need to walk. And because I wasn't feeling well, and because I've been dry fasting, and stereotypically for me, I woke up early on New Year's Day. There was no partying on New Year's Eve. It was just go to bed early, and then I woke up probably around 5:30. And I went out on a walk, and it hadn't started really snowing yet at that time, so most of the ground was dry, and I live in a somewhat rural area, and walked through a golf course where nobody was playing. It was early morning, it was closed anyway, but I had read some of the, what people have done about just walking with bare feet on the grass, and also I took off my shirt and I just lay on that grass, and it just felt really wonderful. And then I took off my shoes and walked in the grass for a little bit. But my feet got a lot colder than my back did, so that didn't last very long, but it just felt really wonderful. Then I went walking by the river that's nearby, and I couldn't really begin to explain how wonderful the sound of the river was to me, and also just how wonderful it felt just to breathe the cool air. And I credited that to just the dry fasting, putting me in just in a different mental state where I was appreciating a lot of the things that I wouldn't ordinarily. I think I dry fasted for maybe one more day, but that helped me get over that bout of sickness. And then fast forward to April, I did my first 5-day dry fast, and again just reveled in. I would just, even in my house, I would just raise the windows and just breathe the air. It felt so wonderful. So that was that was the 5 days. Also during that fasting experience, I remember just psychologically feeling this profound sense of well-being. I thought, wow, if this is if times got really tough and I was really struggling, dry fasting would be a way to just boost my morale. So through my fasting experiences, I've just seen so many benefits of it. For the next fast I did, and by this time I had determined that I was going to come here to Montenegro in October of this year now. So I was beginning to prepare in earnest. I think it was in June I did the 21-day program. Had a consult with Doctor Filonov and Svetlana. And then I went into a 5-day dry fast. Now, I had scheduled this 5-day dry fast. And after I had scheduled it, some family members decided they wanted to have a mini family reunion at a lake in northern Utah, Bear Lake. And I thought, well, you know what? That might not be too bad. It'll be cooler. It'll be in the outdoors. I'll be able to sleep outside. It'll work. It'll be fine. That fast was super hard on me. And it was because of being around family, talking, being social, being in this cabin where I was climbing stairs a lot of the time. And I made it through the 5 days, but I was, and also being summertime, it was warmer. Although it was cooler there, it was definitely warmer and it was dry. So as a side note, I'm excited to be here in Montenegro and just see what the increased humidity, how that helps and makes the dry fasting experience just a slight bit easier. But in the days following that dry fast, I did really have to take it easy. I found when I got in the car to drive, I would experience just a slight bit of vertigo. Not so much that I felt like I was a danger on the road, but just enough to make me a little bit on edge. And that lasted for about a week or so, and then it went away. And in those weeks after, I recovered. It took a little bit. So I told myself in the aftermath, I said, well, maybe that 5-day fast was really effectively like a 7 or 8 day dry fast because it had the intensity. I don't know what Dr. Filonov would say about that, but that's the story I'm telling myself. I did one more fast for 6 days at the beginning of September. And I was in actually the cabin in a rural area that my sister and her husband have. And I just took it easy, and it was cooler, although it was still dry. But that was a much better experience. I was able to sleep out on the deck each night, and it got nice and cool. And there's a little stream that runs in the backyard. And I went out with a thermometer to just see how warm it was, and it was like 50 degrees. So I thought, great, it's under the 51 degrees Fahrenheit that the skin doesn't absorb the water. So I went out in that and just scooped up buckets of water and dumped them over myself, which felt really nice. So it was ice dousing without the need for ice. But through that process, that was better, and also the recovery time was a lot easier. And I've been more or less resting since that fast wrapped up at the beginning of September until now. So it's day 3. My mouth is dry, but I hope that it regains some of its moisture. And I'm happy to be here and explore this longer fast, and looking forward to the massages. And one thing I'm really looking forward to at the end is to try the Molotov way, because that recipe seems a little bit complicated to make, so I haven't done it yet. So that's good for today. It is day 2 of the retreat and day 4 of my dry fast. And day 2, I'll get the date right time. It's October 11th, 2024, here in lovely coastal Montenegro. I think you say it Buljarica, but my pronunciation can be bad. just to add on to the way of travel here, I started my fast before I began traveling. I got a good night's sleep that first night, and then I had a good deal of travel just to get to the airport. For my first flight, I took 2 trains and had a lift from a friend who said, oh, we could change it and I could take you all the way there to the airport. No, I was trying to save my voice, not to talk. Took a flight from Salt Lake City to Paris, and just with the schedule, needed to do an almost 24-hour layover. I was traveling with my sister, who's also attending the retreat, as I've said. I chose, well, she elected just to stay at the hotel that was just right by the airport in Paris. I have a music hat that I wear. I should say I'm also, by profession, an attorney. But I've done a lot of music stuff in the past, like playing pipe organ, and I'd been to several Parisian cathedrals about 1998, a little more than 20 years ago, to play some of these instruments. And so I wanted to go back and just visit them, just be in the spaces again. It was a little bit rainy that day, so I took an umbrella and I tried to stay dry and was somewhat successful. But that did take some energy out of me. So the next day of the final day of travel was probably a little bit harder than it might have been in flights from Paris to Vienna and Vienna to Podgorica, something like that. And then the final taxi ride here. But it was such a relief to finally be here after all that travel. I am feeling generally pretty well. Last night I slept probably in 2 segments, 3 hours, woke up for a bit and then slept for another 2 hours. But then by about 3:30 a.m. local time, I was kind of up and not really being able to go back to sleep, although I did just continue to lie in bed and meditate. I did some looking at my phone, which I'm going to try and not do so much in succeeding days. First day of massage yesterday, that was interesting. Just by the guidelines of the 21-day program, I had been doing some of my own abdominal massage, and what I tried to glean was best to do a liver massage. But what I experienced yesterday at the hands of one of the staff therapists was quite a bit different. Somewhat painful in some ways, but also just some of the techniques used were some that I had never seen before, and I felt like it was a good thing to just go after all my vital organs and the intestines and so forth. So I did go on a walk today, and some of the walks that people have charted out do go over some hills, and I went and just took it slowly. But I think from now on I'm just going to do walking on relatively flat ground so as to just save my strength. Try and get the distance, but have it be minimal heartbeats, let's say. And one other thing I want to add, just by nature, when I discover a new idea, I like to share it with people. And as I've been preparing for the retreat, and since I found dry fasting, I'll tell a lot of people about it. And the reviews have been mixed. It really runs the gamut from people who are intrigued and they say, oh, let me know how that goes. And to the other spectrum where, I'll tell somebody about it and then, within 24 hours I get an email with 20 internet links from the internet research that they have done, that I am killing myself, that my kidneys are going to shut down and all this stuff. And I say,
I've done this. My kidneys did not shut down. I was peeing every day, twice a day, and not because I was just making myself pee, but because my bladder was full. So there's a lot of water in the body that's coming out. And anyway, and as much as I tell myself, okay, I can't talk about this anymore, something about just conversations that come up, oh, hey, how's it going? What's new? And I try to avoid, and then that it goes there to talk about it. So, for instance, I have a boss who I told him about it, 6 months ago, and very nearly read me the riot act. So now, in my interactions with him, the few that I'm going to have on the retreat, I told him I'm going to a meditation retreat, a yoga retreat, and there's going to be massage and things just to say I'm going to do something, but to kind of cloud the real reason for why I am here and what I am up to. Yeah, and the family reaction has been not as extreme as those two, but there's a lot of interest and curiosity and hope and prayers that everything will be okay. So managing those, I know it's a big deal. Friends and family are concerned, but they're also constrained by the information that is readily available to them, which is that about 3 days without water is the most that people can handle. But I will say that, yeah, maybe in some settings that's true. If it were really hot and somebody were having to exert a lot, yeah, they're going to reach that limit pretty quickly. But if there's preparation and if there's a relatively managed environment, and it's cool and it's planned to take it easy, it's certainly something that is possible and indeed beneficial. And I think I'm done for today.
It is Saturday, October 12, October 13, October 12, October 12. It is day 3 of the retreat and day 5 of my dry fast. I should say, I haven't said before, but just for reference, I'm 53. Also, I thought maybe I'd say something about my weight. I think I'm losing about 2 kilos a day. So I was, and today I was about 63 kilos, which is about 139 pounds. So I've been on a pretty steady decline from there, and that'll be fine. So at 139 pounds in my last dry fast, I ended up at 130 pounds. But after drinking throughout the day, I had gained back 10 pounds, however many kilos that is. So I was back to about 140 in weight. So about where I am now at 63 kilos. So since I talked last, the treatments have really been interesting. So in the lecture yesterday, we were prepped for the idea of saline injections, saltwater injections, and that was just a little bit painful, going up the back in several different spots to inject the saline, and I'm not quite sure the benefit of that, but I'm just trusting the process and going with it. Also had another bee sting on the liver to jumpstart the immune system, to introduce some stuff there to focus the immune system on. I slept on the beach last night. Well, I tried to sleep on the beach last night. That was a little hard. And if you come and you're going to do that, there are some lights on the beach, so if you have one of those eye masks, that may help if the light sensitivity is an issue. I didn't bring one, and I wish I had. Also, making the chair, the lounge chair level was important. Mine was just at a slight angle, and I dealt with that for hours before I finally got up and said, time to fix this and make it as level as I could. I got a little bit of sleep, but by and large, I was just lying still and listening to the water and breathing the air, which did feel nice. I tried some of the breathing exercises for relaxation. It didn't seem to really help for me, and I'm still overcoming the jet lag, so it may have been something for that. So after coming in, I went on a walk, and I'm just staying on flat surfaces, but probably walked about 4 miles or so, maybe 6 or 7 kilometers, something like that. And then went back to my room, and I lay down for a little bit, intending, okay, I'm just going to do a little bit because I don't want to make it hard for me to sleep tonight. But yeah, that went away, and I ended up sleeping for a couple of hours, and I do feel a lot better now. My mouth is pretty dry, and I'm very much trying to talk very little at this point. I just made some notes here. I want to make sure I'm covering some of the things I wanted to talk about. So I mentioned on a previous day about an experience with water fasting that I had back in 2020. And while there, I met another young guy who he was doing water fasting, and I think he had been before, so it wasn't his first experience water fasting. Anyway, we exchanged information, we kept in touch, and I got a call from him out of the blue last year, and I had just recently, I'd had 1 or 2 dry fasts, and I just asked him, we started talking about fasting, and he too had discovered dry fasting, not from any information from Dr. Filonov, but from another avenue. And I said, well, what do you think about it? And he said, I prefer dry fasting to water fasting, hands down. He said, the experience is so much better. And I told him, I said, I completely agree. It was nice to have that confirmation from somebody else where we'd had that similar experience. So to talk about support, I had mentioned before, see, there are a couple different ways I could go with this. The people I had around me, I tend to share, as I mentioned, I tend to share quite a bit. My sister, who's here, tends to be more circumspect. She really holds back, so she's told some of the family. In fact, on the way over here, we were discussing, on our family chat group, did we want to, post anything saying, here we are, we've arrived safely, and maybe give some updates to them. So we started talking about who we had shared with, and we both shared with a few of we'd shared with our parents, they knew, and a couple of our siblings. As I said, we come from a large family, so she and I are the oldest of a series of 8 children, and our ages range from me at 53 down to the youngest, who is mid-30s, something like that. So we've shared with several of them. Several of them know, but I don't think all of them know. Although they probably all do at this point, because we've talked about our travels a little bit. But she tends to be outside the family a lot more circumspect, and will really only share with people she knows. Will be supportive. Whereas me, I have less of a filter, and sometimes just still need to, well, let's talk about something, and this is the most exciting thing, so I'll just share. And this comes from or at least for me, and following this, and I think my sister as well, she's mentioned our mother, her health difficulties. So it was when we were, I was 7 or 8 years old, or maybe 9, and she got really sick, and she was bedridden for 6 months. And that, I think, prompted her, that bedridden, her being in bed came on the heels of having her 6th child. And her sister came to live with us for a while to just help out. And it was a tough time for our family. My dad had to really do a lot of everything and just running the household. He made lunches for us before we went off to school, and he always cut the bread too thick. I didn't like the lunches that he made. But as a result of that, my mom started exploring different things about healing. And so this was back in the late 70s. And she went to chiropractors, and chiropractic then was not what it is now as far as it being accepted. I mean, it was really weird if you went to a chiropractor. But she was kind of on the edge with that. And fast forward a few years, because she'd had a bad experience in the hospital with my brother, who was born just before she became bedridden. She had looked into, because they wanted to have a couple more children, looked into other options, and she ended up having my sister, who's the 7th child. She ended up having her at home. That was also a really edgy thing to do in the early 80s in the States. So growing up and watching that, it opened up the way for us, or at least gave my siblings and me a model to just explore different things that are out there. And so when things like dry fasting come along, and other things like energy work modalities and so forth, and there's at least a curiosity to check it out and see what's there. So it's interesting that my mom has been a little bit concerned. She's like, "Are you sure you should do that? Are you sure you should go and dry fast?" This coming from the person who in her younger years was very adventurous about exploring different health options. So I see it as a thing about parenting. Children will often, and some of the things that the parents are enthusiastic about, they will follow those things and they will go further. And some of the things that my parents have done, we have done that. Some things we haven't, but health is one of those things that a lot of us have followed our mom and what she has done. That will be all for today. More to come tomorrow. It is day 4 of the retreat and day 6 of my dry fast. So it's Sunday, the 13th of October. Since yesterday, I had one of the best back massages that I've had in a long time. It worked me over pretty well. I would think I was prepped for possibly more pain than I received, so it was good, but not excruciating. And then some more cupping, and so I got some pictures of my back, and 24 hours later, it looks even more like a piece of contemporary art than it did yesterday. Another bee sting, this time at by the base of the spine. So I'm looking forward to any benefits that I have there. At this moment, I'm doing better, but the rest of the up until a couple of hours ago, it's really been a rough day. I've just felt, not in any one sense, I mean, maybe slight nausea, but just generally, ugh. And I think maybe the sleep has something to do with it. So last night I went to sleep, and maybe I got a couple of hours, and I woke up at probably around 12:30, which is, I understand, when an earthquake hit in Albania, and I think also a couple of other spots in the region. So I don't know if that woke me up, or if it was the animal's reaction to that woke me up, but I really couldn't go back to sleep. And so I lay in bed for a while, just listening to some podcasts, and then I decided to go out to the beach, and I didn't take a sleeping bag. I just dressed what I thought was warmly, but it was cold. It's the temperature, at least the perception of the temperature for me, has dropped. When I arrived a couple of days ago, it had been raining. There was a lot of cloud cover, but last night was maybe the first really clear night in a couple of days, and it was cold. And I went back to my room twice to add more layers, and even then, the final that I had, and I could still have added some more, but it was cold. But I lay there and kind of suffered through it, just to be breathing the fresh air and to just continue to read and listen to things. but it was, you know, me saying, oh my word, just I'm counting the hours through this day, much less the remaining days until day 9. That seems so so far away. Am I ever going to get there? And I've been to day 6 before, so this is, you know, it's interesting. But things kind of came to a head in the lecture today when it was pointed out that if I have fasted before, then I hit the healing crises points earlier in the fast, and that gave me a lot of hope. In addition to just being there and being in the lecture and just listening, that helped to settle me to, I wouldn't say that it was anxiety that I was feeling, but just mental discomfort as well as physical discomfort. That's more vague, but that's about all I can describe it as. Disturbance, the mental disturbance I was feeling, it really helped to calm down. And so now, thankfully, I don't know if a healing crisis has passed, but I'm feeling much better than I was a few hours ago. Other than my mouth being really dry, but that's something that's manageable. One thing that happened when I was on the beach this morning is I listened to a hymn that I have listened to before during dry fasts, and it hit me. It really opened up the emotions as I listened to that. And I've got one of the verses of it. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. And so I had tears streaming out of my eyes, and it's a kind of a mercy that when that happens, there's a lot of saliva that's released in the mouth, and so my mouth feels moist for the first time in days. So it was just a reminder to me. It definitely lifted my spirits for at least a little bit there. And I listened to it a couple more times, and the same tears came out of my eyes, but I think there's only a limited reserve of saliva in the mouth to be released, so it only happened that one time. Maybe I'll try it again tomorrow, but that was definitely a high point of the day. But then almost a few minutes later, it switched, and I'm going to hop forward to when we were in the lecture. I'll summarize as best I can, but the emotions can be really raw, and there can be real anger that comes up, or other negative emotions that I think the message basically was, I just need to roll with it, let it roll over me. I can't necessarily fight it, but just let it come and let it pass. So I'm not a real animal fan. A fan of cats and dogs. As long as they keep their distance, that's fine. But if they want to come up and be all friendly, then that's another thing. And this little cat came out twice to me, and it was at different points when I had put on different layers, and it was starting to get up on me, and I had this expensive jacket on, and the thing started clawing at the jacket, and I swatted it away, and then he came again with sometime later with the next jacket, and I tried to push it away and tried it again, and I hit it. Finally I got the message, and it went away. And then after that, and I'm still in this, again, I've just been in tears from the feeling of this tune, and now here I am fantasizing about taking this cat and hawking it towards the surf of the sea. It took me a while to calm down from that, but again, from the lecture, I just these are things that are just going to come, and I'm grateful that that's all passed. I'll just say a little bit about shifting gears here, just about the routine. So I'm still, I think, jet lagged a bit and trying to get to sleep through the night. But in the meantime, what I'm trying to do is, just as the schedule is stacked through the day with an 8:30 light yoga practice, and then there's a several hour break, 1 o'clock lecture, and then it's about 3:30 through 4 o'clock right now, and then I'll have my massage appointment at 5, and then there's another break until an evening meditation at 8. So between those, what I'm trying to do is just go do a little bit of activity and then go back to my room and rest, and if I can, just take a nap, but not a long nap, 30 minutes to an hour maximum. I want to get some sleep at the same time. I believe I don't want to take the edge off of a desire to sleep throughout the night. So just trying to pace myself with some activity, going on a walk, or just being up, sitting, and finding some fresh air to breathe, and then pacing that throughout the day with the scheduled activities. And one more thing, yesterday I was wearing a Mountain Dew shirt, and just as full disclaimer, I wear it because I like the shirt. I don't like the drink. It's been years since I ever tasted the stuff, Mountain Dew. But I do like the bright green shirt. It is day 5 of the retreat, day 7 of my dry fast. My voice is starting to be less than ideal, but this is how things go. It's got, for me, started to be tough. This is where almost feels like a torture that I'm going through, but I'm putting myself through it, and I really want to accomplish the milestone of 9 days. So I'm doing what I can to keep myself occupied. The hardest thing is getting through the nights. I slept probably 2.5 hours at the first of the evening, and then was just up, awake. And not having that period of time when it's just complete shutdown and those hours move very quickly, and then back to a day where it's a routine and so forth, that's been challenging mentally, to just be able to deal with those hours and what do I do with them. So doing my best to work through, and as they say, a day at a time, and here we are, well the way through I mentally tricked myself into, okay, so now it's a 3-day dry fast, and this is my first day. And so I'm almost through my first day. And I've just been, I went on a walk, and I'm taking it easy on the walk. So just, mostly flat surfaces, and I stop and rest. In fact, we went to a little spot where up it's kind of south-ish down the beach, and there's a river, at least from recent rainfalls. The river is there. I don't know if it's how permanent it is, but it runs right into the sea, and it sounds really nice because there are a lot of rocks. And I just sat there for about 20 minutes, and I recorded the sound on my phone, and I've been listening to that a lot through the day. I also, just to fill the times, dipped in and did a little bit of work for my boss. Just something that was going to be kind of light and fill the time. So, and after this, I go for my massage to see what happens there. One thing I've learned for me is going through, I need to communicate with them, with the person who's doing the massage, if there are any issues that I have. They haven't necessarily asked me what I need, so I need to be very proactive about asking them and saying, hey, here's what, and could I get an extra bee sting here because of this thing? And this, I'm having a little bit of light nausea, what can we do? And that's one thing I need to find out about. I heard about the honey massages, and I'm really curious as to how that happens, how it's applied and how it's removed. And so one other thing I'll ask, and I mentioned it before, and that's about the weight. And I haven't weighed myself today, but yesterday, I believe I said I was about, I think I said 100, I think I said 61 kilos. something like that, which I think is around 136, 137. So I'm probably about 135 today. The last, when I did a 6-day fast about a month and a half ago, I started from being 150 and 150 pounds, US pounds, and went down to 130 at the end of the fast. And I may have mentioned this before, but then after drinking water the first day, I had bounced back up to 140. And unfortunately for me, I have a tendency to overeat. So, I probably should have stayed around 140. But, even if it's good food, I like it, and, it looks pretty and I want to eat more of it. And gradually just the pounds creep up because I just can't stop. So dealing with that does impact the weight, obviously. But then when I come, as others have pointed out, then that just means there's more tissue to burn through in the dry fast in order to get down to the, the basement level of the cells and be cleaning that out. But I've had tons of people say, oh, you don't need to lose weight, and I never said that I was doing the fast to lose weight, but they just automatically assume, just because I look slender. I'm like, well, you should see me on profile. I've got a little bit of a gut there that just keeps coming back. So I would look forward to being at a slightly lower weight, and then certainly with fasting, it would help and be more productive during the fast to start at a lower weight. So with that, my mouth is really dry, and I'm going to call it out for the day. Till next time. It is day 6 of the retreat. It's day 8 of my dry fast. It's been up and down for me. Last night I was struggling. I actually sent messages to a couple of friends and said, hey, will you pray for me? And they did. The night last night actually was really good. I slept for probably 2.5 hours or so. And then I was really peaceful for a while, so I was able to just lie there, not be bothered by the buildup in my throat, but just listen to some podcasts and just enjoy the coolness. And then I think at about 4 a.m. I got up and just went. I dressed up with a bunch of layers and just went and lay on the beach for a while. I think the process I'm going through, maybe everybody's having a different thing, but this afternoon my sister Vicky put her hand on my arm and she was really warm, and I was definitely, and probably still am not that warm. It feels like I'm going through a chilling thing. I've needed to put on this long sleeve shirt and put on some socks and stuff, and I'm feeling somewhat nauseous now, so that just kind of comes and goes. Just part of the territory. I had a massage that was on my legs today, working me over pretty well that way. So we're going, and as I said yesterday, it's like when I hit day 7, I just mentally, I'm like, okay, now it's a 3-day fast, and I'm on day 1. Well, now I'm on day 2 of that 3-day fast. So we're winding up, and so in reflecting on the past several days and the fast that I've done in the past, it's not a process to be trifled with, but it is a process that has so much history and has the ability to help without, for most people, without any doctor supervision. Doctor Filonov has laid out, can start small just by going for a day. I suppose somebody could just go for 2 meals and just have that be the starting point, and then just build up from there to go to 1 day, 2 day, 3-day fasts, and then maybe bump it up to a 5-day, and
course, everything, in between. There are a lot of methods to go about, how much the dry fasting. So, as I consider, other alternatives out there medically, it certainly is one of the least invasive of the treatments that someone can submit themselves to. And therefore is certainly one of the safer things that's out there to try. Being here versus fasting at home, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, one of the most valuable things that's here is the different massage treatments. I mean, it's a whole session, about an hour focused just on the neck and upper shoulders, and one just focused on the intestines and liver and stomach and gallbladder. One just on the back, one just on the legs. So an intensive therapy. And especially, I don't know people, I imagine I could find them back home where, beasting therapy could be applied to promote healing. So just the facilities that are available here make it ever more superior to what I could find at home. On the other hand, at home, I really appreciate just being alone, being by myself. If I need to spit in the middle of the night, the sound that I'm going to make is not going to disturb other people. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's just I'm managing me, and it has a lot of comfort. I can run the fast how I want it. But given the techniques that are available here, I think what we have here at the retreat accelerates it a bit more. So it's a give and take on the advantage of one location or the other. And I'll just add that my weight in this morning, a little bit earlier, less than 24 hours in my last weigh-in. So I was at 60 kilos, which is about 132 pounds. And I should add for reference that I'm 5'9". So we'll see what it's like tomorrow, and to be continued. It is day 7 of the retreat and day 9 of my dry fast. It seems unbelievable in some ways that here we are, because these days have gone by slower than the days that I remember as a kid going into Christmas. And I think tonight going up to 5 o'clock is going to be the same for, as a kid. Marking the minutes until we could go see what was under the tree for Christmas. It's been really tough. I think this is one of the toughest things that I've ever done in my life. Certainly, that's spread into just a short amount of time. I probably slept 2.5 hours last night at the start of the evening, and then I was up. I was awake and switching back and forth between the 2 beds that I have, and thankfully I've got windows that let a breeze through, and being able to breathe that cool air is that's one of the I don't want to call it a side benefit, but just one of the lovely things about extended fasting. There's nothing, I have never felt that sensation in any other setting. So, and I think it's, at least 2 days of dry fasting before one can start to experience that. And it is just a heavenly feeling. I love it. So I was, enjoying that air in between just, dealing with the dry mouth and junk that's in my mouth, which, by the way, so I don't ever remember seeing on the videos the tongue. So here's what the tongue looks like after so many days. So that white plaque has developed on it, and I know some of the literature says you can scrape it, but we've encouraged not to scrape because it'll really dry out the mouth, and it's already plenty dry. but there's also like some phlegm that will develop, and I'll just, try and clear the throat, and I'll get some. After I had had enough of my room tonight, I went out to the beach. I just bundled up. When I first got here, I thought I won't use all these layers. Well, I have used all those layers just to be able to go and sit out on the beach. It's like 55 degrees, but there's a little breeze and therefore a little wind chill. And those layers are very helpful just to be able to stay warm and not shiver. And so while I'm there, I'm thinking, and I got a message out of the blue from my sister Vicky's husband. He, of course, has been watching from afar and offering his support, and the conversation that we had and the things that he shared just really brought my emotions to the surface. And he pointed out how it's been 28 years that we've known each other. So even when he was dating my sister, he was very much building a friendship with me, which I felt was genuine, that even if his relationship with my sister didn't work out, that we were friends. And he's such a wonderful person to have in my life. And so we exchanged text messages, and my eyes were starting to fill with tears. And of course, along with that, the side benefit is saliva gets generated in the mouth. And between that and then I put on some songs that have been meaningful for me, and I got to wash my mouth out really well. It was fantastic. I was able to get rid of the gunk. I had enough moisture to be able to really clear my throat, and I got some relief from that. I don't get to the tears very easily. In fact, just before this video, I tried to do it using some of those same, I couldn't get it to happen. So here I am with a dry mouth and a little bit of a, glob of phlegm in the back of my throat. So I'm very much looking forward to being able to start drinking some water and brush my teeth and all this kind of stuff, just to get going again and get some relief. And at the same time enjoy the benefits of the healing. I will be also looking forward to some relief. That just light nausea that comes and goes has still been a perpetual thing. So I look forward to tonight. I'm considering, a lot of places to sleep tonight. I could be in my bed, I could be out on the beach. My sister has one of the sea view rooms, so I can hear the ocean a little bit better there, or other spots. We'll see, and hope that this evening moves quickly, and then I think we're going to get together and film each other doing our first sips of hot water, so we can share with our families how the look on the face is when we're drinking the first water in 9 or 10, however many days it is. I think that's all for now, and so to be continued tomorrow. And oh yeah, that's right, I was going to so here's how my hair looks after all this. I'm usually wearing this or the bandana, so I'll hopefully have normal hair tomorrow and not look like a vagabond.
It's day 9 of the retreat and day 2 of my exit. I missed yesterday because I just fell asleep, kind of, sort of. I had finished a treatment and I had just a little bit of time, and so I went to my room and I thought I'll just take a little nap, or at least that's what I think was the thought process. And I woke up about 15 minutes after we were supposed to be interviewing here, and I staggered from my room down to the interview room, and I thought I heard stuff going on in the interview room, so I said, I'll just stand here until I hear a break. And after a minute, I didn't have the strength, and I just kind of slid down the wall and was just sitting on the floor for a little bit. And after probably another 15 minutes, I finally realized
yeah, there's nothing going on in there. They finished early, and so I staggered back to my room. It was probably maybe 4:15 by that point, and I flopped into bed, and the next thing I knew, it was 10 o'clock. I don't know where those hours went. I could have used that sleep time from 4 to 10 approximately during any of the other days of dry fasting when I was so desperately wanting to be able to sleep. And that's one of the things I think coming to the retreat, I thought I would, maybe through some yoga practices or whatever, be able to sleep more than I did. But as I went through, I think it's just, sleep, it's kind of a nice thing if it happens, but don't expect it. I probably would have had a little bit more peace that way if I'd realized that. So I think it was finally towards day 8, day 9. I'm like, yeah, tonight I'm not going to sleep. It's been very interesting. So how to fill the time? I brought some books, some audio books. Of course, I had a little library of movies and things like that. But as I was bedding down for my last night, I thought, I could watch this movie and that. And I put on one of those movies, and I could only stand it for like 20 minutes. And I was just like, I can't do this. The things that I would do that would be just most pleasant to fill that time were just, one, being alone with my thoughts, and the other was just being out and hearing some natural sound. So, and I think I've mentioned it before, but south-ish, probably more southeast, down the shoreline is this little stream that joins the ocean, and just going there and lying on the rock wall that's right by that stream, just lie there for an hour or more and just listen, be cool, be able to breathe the cool air. I'd add that to breathing cool air. It was just, beyond normal sensations, let's say, of breathing cool air. And I was really getting to the point, and my strength was just flagging. So when I would walk, I'd just be going slowly, not in a hurry. I was almost done with the walk from the hotel down after I rested on the rock wall for a while, and I came back, and it was a boost. Dr. Filonov just happened to be going on a little stroll right around that time, and he saw me, and he veered over toward me, and his hands stretched out, and he has a great smile. And he doesn't speak English, and I don't speak, well, he probably knows more English words than I know Russian words, but anyway, just a big smile on his face, big hearty handshake, and that was that. But it just was a tremendous boost, a highlight of my day 9. So then it came to, we're counting off the hours and then the minutes until 5 a.m. we can start to drink water, although I wanted to have a cool shower, and so I did. But before that, I had to brush my teeth because my mouth just felt so gross. So I was able to do that, and I just was able to rinse out, and that felt so much better, and not feeling the buildup of whatever the bag of phlegm or whatever I call it. And so just being able to do that and swallow, and there's no obstruction back there, just felt so wonderful. And then I spent a little bit of time with a cold shower, and I turned it off. I'm like, no, I'm not done. I need to have another little round of showering myself off with cold water. So it can be, as part of my personality, not all the time, but delaying gratification is something to do. And so it probably wasn't until 5:30 that I gathered with my sister in her room, and we we filmed each other doing our first sips of water, and yeah, that felt so wonderful. Except, word to the wise, I hadn't tested the temperature in mine, so the first like zap I got of water was really hot, and my tongue is still a little bit burned from it, but got it cooled down and started drinking. And speaking of showers, then I made the mistake a little bit later on of not doing a cool shower. I did a warmer shower, and in the back of my mind, if my thinking were right, I would have said you need to do maybe not a cold shower, but at least a cool shower. And it was a little warm, and my heart rate spiked for a little while, and then finally calmed down. But yeah, got to remember to keep things cool. And then yeah, so then I'd been looking forward to the soup for dinner, but I slept right through that, and it was too late to have it. So starting into today and enjoying some porridge, and then the fish soup, just wonderful. Just the great flavors that are there, and yeah, so I'm glad to be here, be on the other side of it. It's definitely a challenge, but I look forward to the days ahead. And my experience with my previous dry fast is that the changes happen, but they're not quick. I just have to be patient for them, and as the days go on, symptoms, maybe side effects of the dry fast, like I think I mentioned it before, where I had some vertigo, some dizziness for a few days. Actually, it's probably a week and a half, but it went away. And just like the other things that I'm seeking to gain, have some health improvement with, that I'll just be patient, keep treating my body as well as I can. And that's today. It's day 10 of the retreat, day 3 of my exit, and I am feeling very relieved. It just continues, and it's nice to feel my strength coming back. I have had several good, I'll just call them sleep sessions. I'm still waking up a little bit early, but it is so much easier to go to sleep now. Very grateful for that. Personally, we were supposed to have, I was supposed to have leeches last night, but my blood pressure was a little bit low, so I am hoping that today I can have that. So I'm doing what I can to increase my blood pressure. The food that they've been giving us here has been wonderful. Particularly the fish soup that we got made with sea bass. Just that naturally occurring sodium. It tasted just wonderful. Other things didn't have any salt, so there was a blandness to it, but it was certainly nice to be able to just have some texture and just be chewing, and try to start something or just maybe continue something new, but chew very deliberately, slowly, take my time in eating. But the variety's been good. I think besides the fish soup, I really loved the glass of kefir. That was I just love that tanginess of the taste of it. The staff has been, of course, very helpful, and my hat's off to Olga for, I don't know how she does, with her hands every day, because, massaging hour after hour after hour for, 6+ hours a day, I think that has to be pretty exhausting. But I appreciate her help in being able to work through the different things that I needed to. it's nice to be able to have, you know, like a whole massage session on my neck, and whole on my back, and another one on my legs, and of course on my belly. So for future plans for going back home, I'm glad that we've just opted to take a little bit more time. So we're here for about another week, probably 6 days, I guess, and just to be able to relax some more, to just let everything settle in and not worry about rushing back home. So that's my plan. And we've talked a bit about, you know, what to eat on the way home. I did look through the, you know, the various different airline meals, but no, nothing is going to be really, I don't think, what I want to be eating on the way home. So my intent right now is to take the suggestion to water fast. I probably won't rely on whatever water the airline has. I'll probably find something that I think looks good, that will work for me, that I'll have to pay an arm and a leg for in the airport, so I can be drinking it on the way home. But yeah, to water fast on the way home is my plan. But we'll see what happens, you know, in a few days. Maybe I'll just want to eat more, but try and stay strong. And just as a wrap up, I'll just say a final thing. I know in some of the recommendations for what to bring, they said, you know, if you want to sleep on the beach, bring a sleeping bag, and that can be really nice. Well, after having brought my sleeping bag, I say, for me, if I were to come again, I would not bring the sleeping bag. It was more of a hindrance than anything. If I wanted to sleep on the beach, it would be just as easy to just bundle up in a bunch of layers so that I'm not too cold. Have a hat, pants, shoes and socks, and just park on one of the beach chairs and go through the night, you know, dozing a little bit here and there, but generally not sleeping. It would just be a lot easier to be bundled up and enjoy those sea breezes, which were, you know, absolutely fantastic, and which continue now. It feels like it's a little warmer now, and it really is as a nice kind of winding up to the experience here, just to have those just wonderful to hear the sound of the sea, and then just be able to enjoy those mild breezes that they are right now. So I've enjoyed my experience here. Don't know when the next fast is going to be, but I feel like it really worked me over, and I will enjoy the benefits of it over the months to come.